Before we get going into your Hockey IQ podcast episode, I want to thank our sponsor, Rapid Shot. Rapid Shot is the smart shooting lane. It's like a batting cage for hockey players. Very cool. Tracks your shot in 3 ways: accuracy, shot speed, and reaction time. Easy to use. Actually, I used it when I played and was growing up. Very easy. Simply scan your phone in, select your settings, and start shooting. You can see your stats on the app and online. You can check them out at rapidshot.com. Great small business. I actually grew up with one of the owner's sons and have played with all the family members by now, just in local pickups here in Ohio. Very cool local business. Awesome product. I love it. I know quite a few NHLers have them in their homes. A lot of D1 programs have it at their rinks. So you have to check this out. Rapidshot.com. Check it out. Rapid Shot, thank you so much for sponsoring our podcast. On this episode of the Hockey IQ podcast, we sit down with Petri Karjalainen. This was an absolutely wonderful episode. For the past 3 seasons, he's been the national team coach with the 03 birth year, so he just finished up the U18s. And it's just a wealth of knowledge here. I really enjoyed his story. Even prior to that, he won the World Junior Gold with Finland. The year prior, they were actually in the relegation round. So very curious to see the differences between the two there, how the Finnish structure works between the club teams, the national teams, talking development, looking at what skills that Finland's currently focusing on, how they're going about improving their offensive goal scoring. Just a wonderful episode. Very gracious, nice person. Really enjoyed this. I know English is not always a strong suit, but I thought it came through very, very clear and concise. So really excited to share this episode with you. Without further ado, our episode with Petri. On the Hockey IQ podcast today, we bring on Petri Karjalainen. Close.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, close.
So I'll take that, but really excited to have you on. Obviously, very Finnish name and from a great hockey country. Got some great background knowledge, and I'm very excited to dig into your background because it's not the typical that you would see playing high-level hockey and then going into coaching. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor for being always in a podcast, and of course, doing this from Finland. It's far away from you guys, so it's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with a little bit of background on where you came from to where you are today. So maybe give the quick and skinny, but it could go for a long time because you've had quite the adventures. You've been in multiple countries, and I know your dad was a coach.
Yeah, I try to make a short version of this. So, like I said earlier, I don't have basically playing career. I quit playing hockey when I was 15 and started coaching right after that. And I was basically always okay hockey player, not very good, maybe not the worst player on the team. And that was probably one of the reasons why I jumped to the coaching. I wanted to be around hockey, around the ice rink, and then after a few years, I started thinking that, hey, maybe this is something that I want to really put effort on and see that if there's possibility of sometimes working in hockey, maybe coaching. In that time, there wasn't that many professional coaches in Finland, for example. It was only the men's league, and that's about it. And but short version, I went from Oulu, which is my hometown, went to Helsinki first, coached it over there, and then I got a little bit lucky. I was in hockey school in Canada, in Penticton, and get to know the Swiss agent then. Afterwards, he was the GM of one team, and he was the one who got me arranged to the Switzerland, and I went to Davos. Unbelievable place, really good organization from hockey wise, and awesome place to live. Spent there 3 years, and After that, I came back to Finland to work in Oulu. Basically, so story short, I have been assistant coach in the men's league, a couple different organizations, head coach in second highest level, 2 different teams, junior A head coach, and then 1 year in Russia, in KHL, first in Magnitogorsk, and then we were fired, which is pretty typical over there. And then I went to Novosibirsk for rest of the season. Dmitry Yushkevich was the head coach, former NHL player, and enjoyed my time a lot in Russia. It's a different culture, different country, different language. Everything is different, but the league is really good, like really, really good. I think the best league after the NHL is played in Russia. And then came back to Finland, and I was now last 3 years, I was a national team head coach, 2003 born players. So basically we start in when the boys are under 16 national team, and then we go 3 years with the same group, and we finish it now in the World Championship in spring, and then your project is done. So that was the fast forward of my ice hockey experience so far.
Yeah, quite the experience. Not bad for a guy who was 6'5" back in the days when you could just hit your way to the pros. So
yeah, exactly.
Glad that you got into coaching.
Yeah, and I was, like I said, I was really lucky with many things that I have been able to work in Switzerland. I have been able to work in Russia, different organizations in Finland, and then I was 3 years assistant coach in U20 national team. So I have 3 totally different kind of experience in the World Juniors. Like we were first year, we were in Russia in Ufa. We went to the relegation rounds. Next year we win the championship in Sweden, and then we had first Montreal-Toronto championships, and we lost quarterfinals to Sweden. So basically I have been experienced everything in World Juniors. Champion and the relegation rounds and the quarterfinal lost. So, but like I said, really good experiences, a lot to learn. I have been really lucky that already now I have been able to experience a lot and learn a lot. Hopefully there's still something to learn in the future also.
There's always something to learn. We all know that, but I'm curious of that World Junior Championship experiences that you've had, international play, maybe in general here. You went from the relegation round to winning it all within 1 year. Obviously, player talent is a large driver of that, but maybe what were some of the differences on how you went about forming the team, developing the team, and eventually becoming the champion that year? I know you had some great players like Ristolainen, scored the winner, Saros, and that was okay.
Yeah, we had the first year I was there, we had like 93 and 94 born players. And we were actually really highly touted and expected that we are going to go all the way in that year. We had like Joel Armia was on the team. Sasha Parkko was like 2 years younger already then, was on the team. Artturi Lehkonen was already 2 years younger in then. But it just never worked really well. Then we had injury problems. Not problems, but always if in the World Juniors, if you have injuries, they are affecting on something. It was the time that you could only have like 20 skaters plus 3 goalies. So you have few injuries there, it's right away problems. And we played really good games before the World Championship. We we had like exhibition games in December. We beat USA and I think we beat both USA and Canada. Played really good hockey, but then in World Juniors it just didn't work quite well. So the next season it was then 94, 95 born players. And basically we went to Sweden with no expectations. Like if year earlier we had a lot of pressure, players took the pressure themselves, but then the next year nobody expected nothing. And like I said, we had a really good goaltending. We were really good defensively. We had a really good PK, and then the players stepped up in the right situations. We had I think it was semifinals that we play against Canada, beat them 4-1, and then of course the final against Sweden. From the Finnish point of view, it's pretty nice to win final against Sweden in Sweden. But have to also admit that if we would have played that game like 7 times, probably Sweden would have won it 5 times. So we were on the top on the right moment. And like I said, that Saros in the net was a pretty big factor that we won the gold medal.
So how did you prepare a team like that? Obviously, you had some great offensive players. I mean, Teravainen led the tournament in scoring, I believe. But beyond that, most of your skill was on the back end. You had 4 defenders that ended up playing in the NHL. You see Saros, who's a phenomenal goaltender. How do you prepare a team for a tournament like that?
I think you have to look a little bit longer time period than the 1 year, because like I said, the whole situation in the whole program here in Finland that you go, first time we create the national team when the players are 16. So basically players get to know each other really well during that time when they play U16, U17, U18 national teams. So when they come to U20, like World Junior age, they might have together like, I don't know how many, maybe 60 national team games already in a different age group. But they are used to play together. They know each other really well. Like I said earlier, we are a pretty small country. We don't have to play a pool like thousands of players that we pick the players. It's more or less, maybe in the beginning you have more, but when they are U18, you have maybe 40 players that you are using in different tournaments. So I think that you don't have to make so many big preparation for the tournaments, because the history is over there. And it's actually quite easy here in Finland. It was the same for us this spring. Like we didn't play any national team games during the season, but we have such a good culture or the history already from the U16 and U17. So there's something that we can rely on. Our game structure is at some point anyway. So I think that's maybe the biggest reason that we don't have to make big thing on anything. We just do the things that we have done. And like I said, the biggest thing is that the boys, they know each other. They trust each other. Probably they have won the games together. They have lost the games together. And all those experiences are coming quite handy when you are playing in the basically do or die games in the World Juniors.
Yeah, and so it seems like you've got a very specific structure that helps bring all of this together. And obviously being a smaller country where you can travel around helps. But these players are together for 3, 4, potentially even, being around each other for at least 5 years before they get to that point. What does the Finnish hockey structure look like? Because you've got the club structure where each club's trying to produce their own talent, but then obviously you've got the national team which is trying to produce the best national team possible. You've got Canada on one hand, which basically brings like tournament teams, and then you've got the U.S., which has their development program where the kids actually live there. What does Finland look like? Maybe provide a little more detail on that, and then how they integrate.
Yeah, we are something between over there. Of course, we have sometimes been a little bit envy to the US coach because they are spending 300 days a year together. I counted the days when we were U17. We have around 50 or 60 days together as a team. Of course, there's a little bit changes in the roster always, but our strength and our power in hockey is basically our cooperation with the team, with the organizations, with the club teams. Always when we have a tournament, we pick the players, we try to win as many hockey games as possible. Like I said, our game structure is quite clear. It starts already from U16. Then we are always just a little bit putting something over there and developing it. But then always when the tournament is over and the players are going back to the club teams, we as a national team coaches, we go through every player. We travel to the club teams, we sit together with the player and with the coach and go through the feedback from the tournament on what we should focus on the future, look a little bit videos. So I think that's our strength in Finland. Like I said, basically Finnish Ice Hockey Association national teams, they are for the club teams, they are for the club organizations, not the other way around. So and we as a national team coaches, we create really good relationship with the coaches. Basically, we are not the ones who are coaching the players. We are not the ones who are developing the players. The club team coaches are the one. So basically, who we are trying to affect are the club team coaches, and they are trying to affect on a player. Like everybody understand that when the players are coming to the national team for the tournament, we don't develop players in the tournaments. The developing is happening in practices and club team games. So basically, we are just enjoying the work of the other coaches. And of course, you can always blame if we lose the games that it's their fault, but usually it's not their fault. And always when we win, you have to remember that it's not the national team coaches who win those games. It's basically the players and the club team coaches who have developed their skills and their ability to win the hockey games.
That's funny. Yeah, it's never your reason why they win, and it's always your fault when you lose.
Yeah,
that's the coach's dilemma right there. But that's funny. And you've kind of seen this on both sides because you've been a club coach before you were a national team coach, and you're going back to a club. So I'm curious, from both perspectives, what are you looking to accomplish? How are you going about development? How are you going about organizing and allowing these players to own their own development a little bit so they can really push the development curve and allow you to compete at such a high level?
Yeah, it's not easy. And I think it's a little bit getting more and more difficult all the time. The top players now are first of all, they are very well, the people is watching them, the media is following them, the social media is following them. They are already making predictions who will be first round draft pick on players who are born 05. So it's a little bit, this is just my own feeling that we are a little bit forgetting basically the development view of the young players or the actual work you have to done the work. You have to actually practice a lot. You have to mentally grow. But like you asked from both point of views, I enjoy a lot as a club team coach when the national team coach is coming to our practice, is coming to talk with my player who has maybe been in a national team tournament. so we can together put some steps for the player that what should be our goal, what kind of actions do we have to take to reach those goals? Is it like a short period time or long period time? And I hope that when I was a national team coach, also for the club team, coaches had the feeling when I came to visit them and talk with them that they are also getting something from it. I think now the coaches are pretty good and pretty smart already. It doesn't matter are they NHL coaches or no. Basically, none of us is ready already, and you can always. It doesn't matter. Are you talking to coach who is coaching baseball for 10-year-old kid? Probably you can get something from him also in a coaching point of view, or the leadership, or just how to develop young boy or girl. It doesn't matter. And for that, I think now it's getting much more. It's not anymore that you have an experienced coach who is going somewhere to lecture, because he also wants to have a discussion. He also wants to learn something get something from the guy who's listening to you. And in that, we have done really good job here in Finland. Like it's a really good communication, both parties. It doesn't matter is it the club team or it doesn't matter is it the association or national team coaches. We are respecting each other, and we know that without the other part, we can't do this. Like I said, we are not Ice Hockey Association, national team are not for the club teams. We try to support the club teams and the coaches and the players. National team is also very important for the players. Of course, you get the exposure for the is it the NHL or is it some other leagues around the world? But of course, young boys at the moment, it's mainly NHL. And without national team games or tournament, it's still possible, but it's way more difficult to get that kind of exposure that you get picked and you get the basically chance to sign the NHL contract, which everybody is looking for.
That's awesome. And I'm curious as well. Are you sitting down with just the players that you had at the tournament, or are you kind of being proactive as well in looking at potential players that, depending on their development, because development's not linear, as we all know, are you sitting down with potential pool players and looking at how can they potentially get themselves onto that team? Or is it when they're ready, and then as they come onto the scene, that's when you start working with them?
Basically, you're always giving the feedbacks for players who have been in a tournament. But of course, every player who we have in that pool that we are picking the players, more or less, you all the time keep there in your mind. You talk with the coaches where they are at the moment. You don't talk that much with those players, unfortunately. If I would do something different now, started again new 3-year program, I would talk more with those players. But it's like I said, we have a really good relationship with the coaches. So there are always calls from the coaches and that they call that check it out this player, that he has been really good. They never call that hey, pick this player, but they call that hey, come and see that he has this and this thing that he has developed a lot. So maybe he's suitable for you. And also the other way around, I have been talking with the players who have maybe played a lot of tournaments, but then there has been some setbacks, and that what you need to do, what you need to focus on to get back again to the national team and to be picked. And but like I said, it's our strength, our structure is, our program. I'm not sure would it be possible to organize something like that in a bigger country. Like we are such a small country that we have to do it like this if we wanna develop good players, if we want to keep developing players for NHL or for KHL, and if we want to compete in national team tournaments, we have to be really hands-on from the younger age already.
I think we should deep dive into that. Maybe use an example. I think Brad Lambert's going to be a pretty high draft pick next year. So maybe if you're open to it, let's go through maybe what his development has looked like over the past few years and what you've seen.
Of course, Brad has had a lot of problems earlier with many different small injuries, and like I said, it's how the players develop. It's never linear, and of course, if I compare it to, for example, in the USA, I think most of your players they are playing in that program in Ann Arbor, or when they are world juniors, they probably most of them are playing in college hockey, or some of them in UHL. But for us, like Brad played last year, I think 30-40 games in men's league, and then we had I think we had five players who played more or less the whole season in the men's league. Then we have players who are playing junior A. Actually, we in U17 year you have even more variation, that you might have players playing junior B, junior A, or let's say U18, U20, or the men's league. And then of course you might have some players who are coming to North America to play. But what comes to Brad, the developing happens so much in a club team, like I mentioned earlier. And now last year he played with the men's team already, and I think it developed his whole game, two-way games, two-way playing, which is still work to be done. Every player who's 18, there's a lot of work. If you look at Brad's ability with the skating skill, with the puck handling skill, he's like unbelievable player. But of course, you have to develop the game. I know that he wants to be a winning player. I know that he wants to be the player who helps the team to win. And so, what does it take to be the player who helps the team to win? Is that it's not only scoring the goals or putting the points on a board, that what kind of decision making you are making with the puck. Sometimes it's better just to hold the puck and keep it away from the dangerous areas, rather than trying to maybe win one-on-one battle and lose the puck, and that creates the turnover to your own end. He has made a good steps learning on basically how to become a better player, to be that so you can be like a most valuable player. And I think he's on the right track. Like I mentioned earlier, he has still a lot to work over there, but I like the way he tries and he wants to be that kind of player. He doesn't want to, it's not that he wants to be just a goal scorer or a guy who puts the making just a lot of points. He wants to be a winning hockey player. And for us, it's always hard. Like what kind of role you have in a men's team compared what kind of role you would have in U20 league. And you always have to find the right spot for the player. That is it better that he's play maybe third line player in men's league, not maybe power play time, little bit PK, or are you number one player in junior U20 league and you get tons of the PK time, you get tons of the PP time, and you are the one who the coach is looking at you when the game has to be decided. So which one develops more? And but that's also luxury here in Finland, that we can work with the players that they can play both. Most of our young players, they are playing men's team, maybe a little bit more over there, but then they also get the chance to play the U20 league, where they have a bigger responsibility. They are the ones who are deciding the games. Is it a win or lose? It actually doesn't matter that much, but you have to be in that role, that you are the one who decides the game. And that's something that we have in Europe. It's the same in Sweden or in Switzerland or everywhere in Europe. If I compare to basically North America, over there you either play the pro league or you play the junior league. So there's no both and no between.
So building off of that, I think that is important, having responsibility and understanding what it means to be the person responsible for driving the results, but then also kind of getting a taste. I think that's super valuable and something we don't do well. But I'm curious, almost like through the levels, right? You've had players for 3 years, so it might be a bit of a challenge to remember back. What are the problems or most common development hurdles that you're seeing for U16s? Then what are the most common at the U17 level, and then most common at the U18? So what were the issues that you had to overcome at each level to push the group, push the players themselves to their next level of development?
I think the hurry, being in such a hurry, it's maybe, I don't see it that's as a problem, but that's something that's affecting. Of course, in national teams, we are always working with the most talented players in age group in our country. So there's always situation. Is it the player? Is it the player's family, or is it players' agents, or is it something else that should I play already? Like if he is U16 player, should I play in U18 league? Should I play U20 league? And there has been, like I talked this like in common, it's many times you have let's say that you have a good goal scorer, forward. He's putting a lot of goals in U16, and then we are thinking that, hey, this is not the right level because he's scoring so many goals. And then we put him to the U18 league. There he might be still scoring some goals. And we are again thinking that, hey, should we even promote him more? And then we put him to the U20 league, and he doesn't score goals. And then we might have a goal scorer, and we are all the time promoting him. We are a little bit hurrying. Like I said, it's many times there are many aspects who are affecting it. And that's our country's, I think that's affecting the player development, that we sometimes put them in so high, we put that goal scorer so high that he doesn't anymore score goals. And that's where the responsibility of course, the national team coaches, we can always affect on the level that the players are playing. It's always the club team, sport chief or the coach over there who decides it, but we can for sure affect it. And that's something that I think I don't find anything else that it's affecting so much other than being such a hurry. If I have been anything looking from far away, that what kind of number, for example, Sidney Crosby put in Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, it wasn't any problem for him to score goals. So I don't understand why we are in such a hurry in Finland always to promote the players. One aspect over there is that our men's league is getting all the time younger and younger. So it's affecting that our most talented players are are playing in the men's team are playing quite early in the men's team. That we had in our U18 World Championship team, we had 3 players who played more or less the whole season in a men's team. And it's like if we go 10 years back, 5 years back, it was never like this. We had maybe always 10 players who played a U20 league, and most of the players, maybe or half of the team, came from the U18 league. So that has been the change, and we will see where does it go. But my experience with this 3 year is always the biggest thing is the hurry, that we would need to find the right spot for the player, that he has time to develop. Of course, that he has also the challenge from the practices, from the games, that of course, if you have a player who puts 5 goals every game, then you have to promote him to the next level so that he gets challenged to his game. But that balance is something that we have to find, and I think over there we can be better.
That is such a huge point. I think you see that everywhere, but it's probably more so when you have the next steps laid out like you have over there, of not rushing through it. What I see personally is players that get rushed. They hit a point where they can't process the game at the game speed or slightly behind. And where I found the true golden development is when the players are able to process the game a little bit faster than the actual pace of the game.
Yeah.
It's still a challenge for them, but they can at least think through the situations. Obviously, it's detrimental if you can just basically predict what's going to happen before it happens every single time. But I think that point you just made is one of the best we've ever had on this podcast, of being able to hold the players in that challenge, but allowing them to get those points and process the game at a speed that's slightly faster than the game.
Yeah, and like we have been talking a lot, always basically as long as I have been involved in national teams, we have been talking about the goal scoring, that we have to be able to develop more about. We have been making it like a really small point, how to become better goal scorer, what are the steps, what kind of skills, what you have to do. And maybe one of the biggest thing what we have came up from that's that we have to first develop the players to defend, so that our goal scorers there's a bigger challenge to get that scoring chance and get chance to score a goal. That let's focus on how we defend, how our individual players defensive skills, what level they are, what level our team defensive skills are. And when we can improve those, when we can develop those, for sure, our goal scoring is getting better, because they are facing better defensemen, and they are facing a bigger challenge of getting already the scoring chance. And that's it's always in a national team tournament. Our forwards are getting that holy smoke, that if you have a club team game, you have maybe 3 seconds in that scoring situation. And when you go to the national team tournament, you have 1 second. So the difference over there, and what are your basically challenges, how good defensive teams there are, how good defensive players you are facing in, for example, the U18 World Championship. It's totally different level than the club teams, and that's something that when we can improve our defending, like I said, the individual defensive skills and the team defensive skills, it will automatically improve our goal scoring, because they are facing much harder challenge. They are facing much. You took the time away. You take the pace of pace away, and that's the thing like I said, this is my opinion that how we should focus on goal scoring. That let's work with the defending, and it goes hand in hand.
How do you teach those defending skills? What are what are the elements you're focusing on when you're developing those and getting after that, or having those discussions with the club coaches to focus on these are the skills we need to develop so we can make it more of a challenge for our goal scorers?
I think the biggest thing is always your skating skills, skating ability. How can you turn from the backward skating to forward from the backward? Then the defensive side, the stick work. How are you able to defend with your stick? Take away basically how you can always pressure the puck, how you can keep so that the forward will have no chance to take the forehand shot. And then I think it's more and more all the time coming. Basically for us, the biggest surprise in defending was, or for me personally, was when we play the national team games. It's not how our defensemen are working in a D zone. They are doing pretty good, like how they are in the working position all the time, how they box out the players, how they pressure the puck with their stick, how they battle on loose pucks. But then the biggest thing is how we are defending on those rushes. It's way more difficult than the D-zone defending. And it comes so much on your cap control, which is affected directly from your skating skills. And if you're a good skater, you have the self-confidence to keep the cap tight. These are basic stuff, how you play between the dots. But those are we haven't invented anything new here in Finland. It's the same old stuff, and but that's something that we can improve. Everything comes back to skating skill, which affects on your cap control. And if you are a good skater, then you can control the cap. Then your self-confidence is good enough. And the younger we go, even I have said to players in a national team games that rather play the cap a little bit over and sometimes got beat in that one-on-one, other than you just leave that 7-meter gap between the forward, which you can't do anything. That I rather see you lose that one-on-one sometimes, not that you are not even competing it. That somebody has sometimes said that if you want to get shot, then it's better be the wolf than the sheep. And I liked how it's put it, and I can see directly how you can see it in an ice rink. But basic stuff, we have been focused a lot in the offensive skills, scoring of goals, even the offensive structure of the game, and which has been a little bit taking off from the D side of the puck. And I think that's something that Finnish hockey in general and in national teams that we can work with, and it also helps to develop our offensive game.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we're coming up on time here, and I really appreciate you sitting down. I know you've got a nice big move upcoming here in the next few days. So again, congrats on that. But before we end here, I'm just going to leave the floor open for you to talk about anything you want, whether that be skills, just things you want other coaches to know, things that you want players to understand better. Just let you run with it, or just preach your philosophy on hockey, whatever it may be. So floor is all yours for anything.
It's always tough one because I have been coaching while already almost 20 years, over 15 years full time, and your philosophy is developing all the time. Maybe 10 years back, I think I knew much more, but the more experience you get, the more you know that you don't know basically anything. And as long as you work with the people, you work with the individual persons, there's always something to learn, because we are talking about what's your leadership skills, what your basically skills to work with different kind of persons, different kind of people. For me, if I what should I share with the other coaches? I actually think now that we are not proud enough on how we do things. It doesn't matter, are we Finnish or are we Canadians or from States, or because now in the world championships in U18 in spring, that I like the hockey what was played over there. I was really proud of the way we competed. I wasn't totally happy on how we played. It was pretty much flip the coin hockey for us, and we had a really offensive skilled team and scored a lot of goals, but we also gave a lot of goals. But what I meant by this was that I was really basically positive, the feelings how the team Russia played. I have been always envying how structured, how coordinated they are, what kind of hockey team Canada played. Team USA was actually a little bit disappointment for me if I compared how they have earlier played. I don't know how many injuries they had or what was. We lost our regular game against them in OT. So for that, it's really weird to say that I was expecting more, but I was expecting more. The way I have saw them played earlier was really good, and that's something that I know we as a Finnish, it doesn't matter how we players or coaches, but we are quite proud how we play, how we look as a team. But I think also the other countries should be. I don't know how it is, but like I said to Sweden coach after the bronze medal game, that we lost like horrible numbers, and of course that's something as a Finnish guy you never want to lose the bronze medal game to Sweden, or you don't want to lose any game to Sweden. But I was proud how we played, how we competed. They were just better team in that game, and how they handled the whole game, how they handled it, the whole situation afterwards. I told the coach that, hey, you should be really proud of your guys, that they could rub it in our face like a really hard, but they didn't. They were very classy about it, and like I said, in that game they were a better team. We don't get another chance, but I hope that if we would get another chance, we could put a little bit better effort. But after what happened all over the world with this COVID situation, and that basically enjoy and be proud of your country, your organization, your club team. Like I say, it's not need to be the national team game or team. It's not need to be professional level. It can be players born 2013, and it doesn't matter are they boys or girls, but basically be proud and enjoy the hockey and the work to what is being done in that level wherever you are.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and helping coordinate with the 7-hour time difference.
Yeah.
It's always fun, but no, really appreciate you coming on, and thanks again for sharing your wisdom. I think there's a lot of great points that people can take away from this. So thank you again so much for taking the time.
Thank you. Like I said earlier, this was an honor of being here, and always challenged for speaking in English and trying to get the ideas and the thoughts on some kind of form that the people understand it.
Better than me, I can say that. So take care.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. I know I did. So
Before we let you go, though, we'd like to remind you to please like our podcast, subscribe to it, give us a follow, and share this with all the hockey people in your life. We really appreciate growing this community, this podcast. Remember, we also have a newsletter, the Hockey IQ newsletter as well. Really excited to continue to grow this. So please help us grow this further by liking, subscribing, following, and sharing with everyone. So appreciate you all. Take care.
That concludes this week's episode. Thanks for joining us here at Hockey IQ. If you haven't already, take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and drop a review. If you want to be a great teammate, even recommend us to a friend. You can follow us at Hockey's Arsenal on Twitter and Instagram. Check out the website, hockeysarsenal.com, where you can subscribe to the weekly newsletter. You won't regret it. Catch your buttes here next week for a brand new episode.